We on, Eric? We on, Amanda? All right. Okay, if everybody would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, I don't see our pastor here this evening, so I'll start us out with a prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, Lord, this beautiful weather. Lord, be with us here as we have our county meeting and give us guidance. Lord, help us all to remember that it's not society's rule that matters, but ultimately yours. Lord, I ask you to guide us in a way for a bright future for Hampshire County and be with each and every one here tonight and their families. For in your most precious name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right, I'll call the Hampshire County Commission meeting to order Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. And we will start off with the minutes of our last meeting. All commissioners did have a digital copy of that prepared by the clerk to review beforehand, so I would approve a motion to approve those or discuss any corrections needed at this time.
Mr. President, I move the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the meeting minutes from our last meeting be approved as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. And we will move on to the President's and Commissioners' reports. I'll start off, give you some information on our last Parks and Rec meeting. The Parks and Rec did apply for some ARP funding. The Commission had granted that to them. One thing was to do their, redo the basketball court down, the outdoor basketball court down at the Old Cape and Bridge Junior High. That has been recapped, and they are in the process of getting the lines repainted. It was cracked and sagging pretty bad in places. That court gets used quite a bit for basketball, and they are repainting the lines on it. The other thing I wanted to note is a while back, I believe the commissioners, at least myself, and then the Parks and Rec had a group of folks come about pickleball, and they're going to paint at least 2, maybe if they can fit 3 pickleball courts on that pavement down there, rather than the old tennis court that was there. At least that tennis court in the county wasn't getting used at all, hardly. So we did have a group of several folks come to us, come to the Parks and Rec a while back about pickleball, so it was a good opportunity to paint those lines so they can have tournaments or whatever they want down there. And of course, that's what Parks and Rec wants to happen, is they want that place to be used. So, and then with their other ARP money, they're upon just about completed the work with the replacement of the heating and cooling units down there. Other than that, took a few phone calls on some different things that looks like we will be touching on in the agenda. so I can chime in there as needed.
Did you get an update on the court at Cape and Bridge? They were paving it, Mr. Rinker said?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Pickleball's going?
Yeah.
Not in Romney?
No, it's
Okay.
it's going there, on that court, they're going to put,
Okay.
the Parks and Rec hasn't said whether or not they'll do something in Romney as well, but they are going to go ahead while they're painting that court to put pickleball lines on it and a place to set up the net.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Hott, your report.
Okay, the only thing meeting I attended was the farmland protection meeting, and there was really nothing significant that we acted upon, other than we reviewed the farmland policy and made some minor changes to it, and then we just went over the easements, that people that applied for the easements, and we had an update on all those easements. Other than that, that's all. That's the only meeting that I had, and I did have some interesting phone calls that I'll get into maybe later on this evening.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hott. Commissioner Cannon?
Attended the Hampshire County Development Authority meeting. We talked about the election of officers, which we are mulling that over still. The big topic was obviously the demolition of the hospital. Another snag, but we believe we've worked it out. They tore up some tiles in that old floor and allegedly found some glue that they thought had some contaminants, so we triangulated the information, had the several different entities also test to verify that whether there was or wasn't contaminants. Sometimes I start to think that they like to make a mountain out of a molehill because they get richer the more issues that they create for us. But the DEP has the final say, and as we were having the conversation, the DEP actually sent an email in at that moment saying that there was not contaminants found. So we were looking at yet another postponement, if you will, and we established that the DEP has the final say, and they established that there was not contaminants. So I remember we originally talked about June, July. So to be fair, I don't have an exact answer for you again. I know Thrasher was talking about removing some doors that maybe had some issues. It's gotten absolutely ridiculous. And just like I said in the meeting, it just amazes me. We're a lot smarter than this. You know, when we paid for these initial surveys, why weren't all these things looked into? We had Mr. Morgan there and superintendent of schools, and I realize everybody's frustrated. I don't think anybody more than me, but we're back on track. Reclaim Company is supposed to be mobilizing. It's crazy to me. It takes 2 years to tear down a building, but there are a lot of nuances and things that different funding sources require different testing and different contaminants. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But we've seemed to work it. We seem to have worked it out, and we're back on track. So this summer, that building will be down, I'm assured. We're talking about the board office. We got the Brim report on the board office of all the buildings that the Board of Education is trying to get rid of. The board office Brim report seemed the most promising. And Slanesville School, you know, if we can save the Board of Education money in demolition that they could put towards schools for our children, and we could cash flow these buildings, or if they could have an immediate use for the community, I just don't understand why we wouldn't do it, especially if we have the team members in place to facilitate these buildings. So it's the board's sort of split down the middle from everybody I've talked to about the board office. Slanesville seems to be off the table. We definitely don't want the Development Authority taking on any more useless buildings that they don't have the money to take care of. So it's not without major consideration and thought for every little facet that we think about the building. But I personally went to the building, and I would encourage everybody, even the commission, to look at that building and think about the amount of money we would waste in demolition. It's got the roof on it's in good shape. I mean, it's an immaculate building. It could be cash flowed immediately. It could be used for offices. I could go into 1,000 different things that building could be used for rather than hauled off to the landfill. But anyways, I've got the board to put it on the agenda. We're gonna put it to a roll call vote, and hopefully everybody looks at that building and makes a consideration there. Rebecca Hott has done a tremendous job. She's been doing a lot of work. She's really expanding the Development Authority's name in the state arena and even not only nationally but internationally. So we had a rep from a French company that she had come to the county, a manufacturing company, and I'm not going to over elaborate there until that materializes. But I didn't report last time, but the multi-tenant building lease had a 3% increase, and we renegotiated their security deposit. These rates are, if you look at national averages, are drastically low. But and we also officially had Mr. John Todd Hott signed on to the payroll for the County Development Authority, which is great. Let's see, the time capsule, I think Ms. Hott is going to talk about that later. Aquabank is, we're still in conversations. Eileen's done a great job in negotiations with them on exercising their option on Lot 6, so hopefully selling some more land in the tech park. The Planning Commission meeting I attended for the normal business, just to give the commission a brief report here. Almost 15,000 in monthly totals as far as permit fees, and a record month for the fiscal year, the highest since last July. $4.44 million in construction in the county, and $30 million thus far this fiscal year. So a lot of construction going on in the county, which is indicative of a lot of good things. People are wanting to come here. Also, did we talk about this recovery, gentlemen? Remember this? This entity solicited the commission to use them in lieu of sending inmates to jail, which I did reach out to Judge Carl and talk to him about it. And,
Yeah, you went over
did
that.
I go over that?
At the last meeting, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, PBTA, nothing really major. We had the job fair. The PBTA was at the job fair here at the Deaf and Blind School. That went well. Mainly, from what I can see, employers looking for workers, like we all are, rather than workers looking for work. But at PBTA, we renegotiated the CD with Edward Jones to 5.25%, which is a pretty drastic increase. Other than that, the rest of my business is in the agenda coming later here. Commissioners, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cannon. And we're right on schedule. We will go to our next item, which is prosecuting attorney Rebecca Miller has a new employee to introduce to us. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is my new legal assistant, Crystal Shoemaker. She comes from the Department of Health and Human Resources, so she'll be an extreme asset to our office. I will note that we have an opening, so we're not fully staffed, but certainly there has been an attorney that's reached out to me and that's interested in the assistant prosecutor position, so I'm going to table that to another time to come before you. when I'm able to meet with him and discuss it a little bit further. So whether the next step is to go back and look at the assistant prosecutor position or just a legal secretary. So, but for now, Ms. Shoemaker has joined our team.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you all.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Clerk, do you have any quick maintenance items we can go over?
Yeah, the assessor said some exonerations.
Mr. President, I move we accept the exonerations as presented by the tax assessor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the exonerations since our last meeting be approved as presented from the assessor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Mr. President, if I may, would like to note that Sandra Hunt did retire, if you will, or is not seeking another term of appointment for the Planning Commission. I would say with not a lot of notice, so we're making consideration. I'm making considerations on who to recommend, but we haven't had a problem with quorum, so won't make any hasty decisions there. And the solar farm, Fort Hill Road, Mrs. Barnes reported that rather than June, July, late August, they plan to apply for their permit for construction.
Okay. Next, we have Mrs. Amanda Barnes, our compliance officer, in regards to cell tower permits. Evening.
Two, both US Cellular. One will be going on Poland Hollow, and the other one will be right outside of Cape and Bridge, right off Northwestern Pike.
Thank you.
All information's here, whoever wants to look.
They were just upgrades.
No,
These are new ones.
new ones.
Okay, good.
That's what I thought. That's
They will
what.
have inspections.
Good.
Where's the one at Cape and Bridge?
Coming down into town, before you hit the sharp turn, right off on the right into Cape and Bridge on Tom Alkire. Spectrum Signs building right before that, down over in that hill.
How high is the tower?
190. 190. Both of them are 190.
So there's no lighting or anything required? Yeah, one of they could have got a little higher down there. Could have went to the Development Authority and maybe helped him out a little bit.
I'm not sure.
We tried.
I feel like there's enough, yeah,
We tried in Romney, Eileen and I met with Tom Sirotto,
yes.
and they pay about $800 a month, I believe, but for some reason it didn't work out. Yeah,
Some of those.
We shot
some
our
of them
shot on
put,
that one.
Some of them can be put on, of course, I don't know whether there's any restrictions on the Development Authority on that tank or not, but some of them can be put on those tanks, but that's okay.
We have not discussed the other two sites, so I'm not sure where those are gonna be.
You said 3 more, Amanda?
Three more new sites.
Well, that's good, because since they went to this 5G, it's reduced the length of the band.
In order to put Poland Hollow on, they have to upgrade what they consider the Fort Ashby Tower, which is right at the Millicent's, the new one right in Springfield. So that one just went in 3 years ago. It's now gonna have upgrades to it within the next 6 months.
Mr. President, I move the 2 cell tower permit applications be approved.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the 2 new U.S. cellular cell towers presented by Mrs. Barnes be approved as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking after me. Thank you.
All right, we got about 7 minutes. Clerk, do we have any more maintenance we can go over?
We have a CDBG grant request for payment in regard to the Hampshire County Public Health Facility project. The total amount of request is $96,794 and 6 months for the president to sign. This is reimbursements to money that's being, work that's been done. Request for payments is what it is, not reimbursement. Request for payments.
So, gentlemen, we've already approved this project and approved the go-ahead. This is just a step in the process and a request for reimbursement on that step.
Move we authorize the president to sign the CDBG document as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the president of the commission sign the CBDG document, grant document for reimbursement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed. And there's 6 spots, gentlemen, so it'll take me a couple minutes. All right, now we will move on to project bid openings, and that would be excavation at the senior center. And I believe Mr. Matthew Hotz got that information for us.
The excavation and the senior center.
That's up with
Yes, I'm sorry, correction, excavation and the senior center, 2 separate items.
Gentlemen, I have 4 things total. This first one, steel bed. This is on the senior center kitchen renovation.
How many bids did we get?
We had 4 contractors interested, and I had 1 bid.
You gentlemen want to proceed with this first?
Yeah.
You want to do them one at a time and proceed with this first?
What did we, in our meeting, when we decided to do this, what did we allow for that? What did the commission, did we give a dollar amount on that?
I had an engineer's estimate. On that.
Okay,
And I believe Delegate Thorne and Delegate Hillebrand were going to get some money for that. We had
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
had 2 items in the cooker, one, which I have the sidewalk repair, also is separate, but yeah, I think the engineer's estimate was around 45,000, and the sidewalk was 8.
Commission did commit some funds, but I couldn't tell you, I think it's 10,000, I'm not sure.
Sticks in my mind that, but I was here, but did Mr. Delegate Hillebrand have 10,000 and Delegate Thorne have 10 for a total of
so
20?
it's
I'm not sure.
5,000 for each delegate and 5,000 for each senator. And in order for, the way I understand, in order, the legality of it, the checks had to be cut from the Treasury to Mr. Hillebrand, the senior center, to the Committee on Aging. So they have those checks in which I'm guessing they haven't delivered to the clerk yet, but
They won't.
they may not have to, so those will be paid directly to we'll have to figure that out, gentlemen. No need to speculate now, but nevertheless, yeah. So, all that, I got us 20 grand, gentlemen, for all the hoopla,
Got us what now?
for all the hell, and the meetings and the phone calls, and, because what bothers me more than anything is the governor's office had Mr. Coles come by and more or less filled our heads with this hope that there was this there was this fund with $2 million in it for these type of projects, and he came to us. So we were all excited about it. Mr. Thorne, Mr. Hillerman were petitioning on our behalf. Then that's when the committee brought in that grant application in which we showed local support and gave pledged a little bit of money, and then it all fell through. So we said, we need to get it done. So very thankful to the delegates and senators. They just said, well, if the governor's office won't do it, we'll all throw in some money with the commissioners and do it.
It's 2 copies.
So thank you, Delegate Thorne and Hillebrand and Senator Trump and Blair for that.
All the local contractors shared interest in it, but I mean, part of the work could have to be done in the evenings or late in the evenings after the kitchen closed to keep the kitchen in operation.
Dave, see
That
that.
was a little, that was a
He's got
hang
a
Oh,
copy.
yours,
We got
Sam?
2 copies, Bob.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
that was a hang up for one of the contractors who was interested.
There's nothing that I've witnessed in this job worse than the greed of lawyers, engineers, and contractors that take advantage of the taxpayers. And you can put that in the paper.
Oh,
They know how much money we have.
I have no idea what you're
There's
looking
no,
at.
it's outrageous what it is. I'm a no.
So obviously, gentlemen, it's way more than we anticipated for that work. So what's your, I'll open the floor for comments, suggestions, direction.
well, I think we, in the bid, we had the caveat that we could refuse any and all bids.
Yes, yep.
Well, I think that's what we ought to do for the time being.
Commissioner, you're.
It's just not, what,
I agree, yeah, I mean, we had a professional engineer come out, does this all the time, but yet again, he's a local guy, thinking, and he even, from what I understand, inflated the number a little bit for safety, about $10,000. There's not very many contractors outfitted or equipped to do these type of projects for governing bodies and county buildings and city buildings. And not only do they have that monopoly, they also know how much money you have. So it's ironic how they always come right in around exactly the amount of money they know you have, just like the courthouse.
this is a little higher.
I'm not going to go on and on and
This is a little higher than what we thought.
I'm a no. 106 to go from 60,000 to 160,000 is absolutely ridiculous, and it's taking advantage of the taxpayers. And I'm a no. We'll find a contractor that'll do better for us than that.
Yeah, I would agree with both commissioners. At the same time, I don't want it to become a dead project, so we'll keep trying, and we'll keep working with, well, I suggest that we keep working with Mr. Matthew Hott to keep trying and go from there, but I would definitely agree with both commissioners. It's to be keen on our tax spending, we need to say no to that one.
$159,000 is a lot more than we were even.
We're literally taking out a wall, putting in some custom cabinetry, rerouting some electrical wires. Mr. Hott, I'm so disappointed. I know how much time you put in, and I know that the job would be done right, but and maybe I have a unique perspective because I know what it would take my company to do that project, but I can't do that. It's a conflict.
There is one new oven that's in that
Yeah, that's,
Mr. President, I move we refuse the bid of Harbell Incorporated for the senior center kitchen upgrade.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to refuse the bid, which we reserved that right for the senior citizen upgrade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Do we want to give Mr. Hott some next step direction on that? Or is that not needed in the form of a motion? I'll just bring that to the table quickly. If you guys want to take care of that now, or
Yeah,
do
we
feel-
Well, we indicated that we was trying to help them get this kitchen upgraded, and I think we still should try to do that.
You said there was an option of a contractor that would be willing to do it, but the scheduling needed to be worked
The
out.
staff wanted
And that's why they didn't bid.
But we can
Yeah,
go
we've-
back, we can go back to the well on this, so to speak.
Yeah, we might have to consider that
Okay.
if, we might have to consider some staff inconvenience for that amount of money.
Amen. I have no idea.
Well, it's not your fault, and thank you for all the legwork.
We'll find a different path.
All right.
We need some local contractors to step up, you know?
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
If we could stay at the senior center, we had issues with water on the south end of the building with the drain from the swimming pool. So I have bids here for that. This is for, what essentially this is, there we go. It was recommended by the engineer, but just in passing, on the last page of that, you'll see it. My chicken scratching her handwork of what we can do to fix that is to cap that sidewalk all the way across, put some soil against the building and slope the drainage back and create a 4 to 5 inch curb along that edge where the road goes by so the water doesn't flood from the pool, come across and into the building. And I've got 2 estimates for that. Of Masonry Solutions and Gary's Excavating.
Are they both in the same stack, Matthew, or there's?
Yeah, there should be, the first one is just an email.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Edmonds.
Yeah, I see now. I got you now. Okay. the commissioners, we're all aware of the drainage problem down there. What's your comments, discussion on these estimates to fix that?
Yeah, that's in line with what the engineer thought on the cost of this project. The only thing, of course, I've heard of Mr. Bridges and obviously Gary's, heard good things about both. The only thing that concerns me about signing a contract with Mr. Bridges is he hasn't provided a scope of work or any sort of
Yeah, I met with
proposal.
him and we went over the scope of work and he did say if he was selected, he would have a
Okay.
formal contract.
Are you more comfortable with one or the other?
I'm fine with either one.
Okay.
Be more than happy to work with either one of those two contractors.
Yeah, I'll just point out, gentlemen, they're fairly close. The one estimate's, what, $1,200 and $1,300 more. However, is much more detailed. The cheaper one only concerns me in the fashion that it's 2 sentences. The other one's 2 pages. So, whatever you gentlemen think there.
I would definitely vote in favor of the lower bid with the contingency that he provide a detailed scope of work, a copy of his contractor's license, and general liability policy certificate. If those can't be provided, then I think we should reconsider Mr. Bridges, but I would move definitely for the lower bid, Mr. Bridges, contingent upon the fact that he would produce a copy of his contractor's license, general liability policy, and a detailed scope of work saying what he's going to do.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
And then if he can't provide those things, do we want to go with the next one, the next bid?
Yeah, I think so.
That
So-
way we won't have to, we can go ahead and move forward with it.
Mr. President, I would move that we accept the bid of Mr. Nathan Bridges, as long as he provides West Virginia contractor license, detailed scope of work, and a copy of his general liability policy. If he does not provide those things, we should go with the latter bid, Gary's Excavating, $7,116.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I won't repeat that motion for the sake of lengthy, but clerk has it on the tape recorder there. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
This is what you get when you get local contractors, fair prices, generally speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Hott.
I'm going to get off my soapbox.
There's more. He's got more yet. I thought you only had 2 things.
I have 4 total.
All right.
This is the sealed bids for the ground site work for the Hamlet Station, Sunrise Boulevard. Two contractors submit bids.
You want to go ahead and open another one?
Mr. Hott, these soils that are to be compacted under the supervision of geotech engineers, are those geotech engineers provided in this
Yes, sir.
cost? Thank you. And there's no way around the helical piers. We're going to have to use the helical. And in your understanding, or?
This is the way around the helical.
Okay. Good, good. Thank you.
Much more cost-effective approach.
I found that to be another racket. There's a lot of money in these helical piers.
Yes.
We just, wow. Crazy, man.
This is, we had Triad do the testing. They left two options, do this or the helical
Yeah.
piers. It seemed like a more cost-effective option.
Colleague of mine just put in a bid on the Ridgely Town Hall, and of course, they need helical piers, according to this engineer. Contractor costs $7,000 per helical pier. The other bid, $33,000 per pier. So they cost $7,000. So there's a little bit of markup in these piers. So I'm really, really, really proud of you for navigating around this. That's
I
awesome.
have to thank the
Saved us a lot of money.
PEMSA, the Emergency Management Committee. They made a lot of these decisions, the direction they wanted to go.
Sometimes you do have to have them, but anyways, what was the other
Here's
cost?
the
sir?
second one.
Thank you.
You done
Hand
with
me
that
that
one,
one.
Bob?
Yes,
Hadn't
sir.
seen that one yet. Oops, wrong paper. Sorry.
40,000.
That's the cover letter.
Two other local contractors expressed interest in this project. Didn't show up.
Didn't bid.
I think everyone's busy.
Yeah.
The engineers, is that Triad, is that who's going to be doing that?
It's to the contract, it's up to the choice of the contractor.
Okay,
There's
who
other
they use?
engineering firms, but
Okay.
I think most of them will use Triad or Valor, one of the two. There's two options for change order options that that it's expressed in the bid package that they couldn't respond to. If they find soil that's
Put
unsuitable,
away for him like 2 years ago.
and we're on the hook to have soil shale bought in that is suitable for compaction when they dig it out, if they run into something.
Is that's not included, though, you say, in neither
That was
neither
expressed
contractor included that?
That would be, come back to
In-
us
on the
as a
contingency.
change, as a change order, because we really, hopefully there won't be.
And so therefore, we wouldn't know the cost of that right now.
No. Hopefully that will all go back in and be compacted. So it's 80 foot by 115 feet is the area.
Did you have a site plan for that, Matt? Is there a site plan? Are you gonna put it in between the contingency of the lots, or?
Yeah, we've already staked out the lot, and
Because they're all contiguous now. Are you
Yes,
gonna,
yes.
is it gonna be sitting in the middle of all three of them?
it's going to be sitting on lot number 2, if you would.
Okay.
If you were going from west to east, it would be lot number 2.
Copy that. Thank you.
And it's going to be sitting which way, Matthew? North, south, or east, west?
It would be, well, the lot's really the widest east-west, so the building would be set east-west. And I think the committee is looking at 3 bays, and the ambulance would come out onto Sunset Boulevard, and then the office space would be a single-story building, and it will be facing west onto the asphalt parking lot that's there for parking that the county currently owned,
Okay.
purchased a few years ago.
And both of these guys, both of these contractors were on site. They're both understand the 10-foot. We have to go down 10
Oh,
feet.
yeah, they were both provided a copy with Triad's report that Hampshire County did, that you guys approved on.
Well, quite frankly, it's cheaper than I thought it was gonna be. But what do I know?
Careful. Say that too loud.
All right, gentlemen, do we want to take an action on these, one of these two bids this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to get started on it, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd agree. We have one for $40,388, second for $64,750.
I'd move we go with the lowest bid.
I'll second.
Okay,
Out of CARES Act money, correct, Commissioner?
that's what that we put away
The
a
500,000?
Yes, yes,
couple of years ago for this specific purpose.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, so Commissioner Hotz made a motion. Did you second that?
Second, yes.
That we approve the bid with Key Construction Services Incorporated, and I believe that's a Winchester company, I believe I saw. Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Is this the one that you want me to sign, Mr. Hott, or? Okay.
Never seen those.
Have we thought about a steel erected or a pole structure, pole building? We talked to Pioneer or Panhandle Pole Builders, or have you thought about that? Good, good. I think we could really, I mean,
Something to put a footer on now, and we can rock
Yeah.
it, we can rock it.
I mean, you got a 40-year metal siding, a 40-year metal roof, and you, have you been to the restaurant on the old Crystal Valley Ranch? I mean, that was $150,000 for that building, concrete. Of course, you still need the mechanicals and the interior, but that was also a year ago, but.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Sines has a project at the animal shelter. This is a storage building. Put about a few months ago, put a concrete slab out there. This is inside the fenced area. Sheriff Sine was looking for a building if they had animals for them to get in. It's within the confines of the fenced area, out of the weather.
Is this a corral for the horses and
Whatever.
seized animals?
Yeah, seized animals.
We already approved $26,000 for this, Commissioner? We didn't approve this.
This would be,
This is a cover for the pad out there, correct?
Yes, this is a cover, yeah.
Okay.
What we had out there, David, was sometimes if we get pigs or hogs, if we turn them in the lot, they'll root and tear up the soil on the pad, so, and you can't ring them, because it's inhumane. So anyway, we had to put a concrete pad out there because
Okay.
sometimes they get these pot-bellied pigs and so forth. So we had to put a concrete pad out there to keep them from rooting.
Ah,
And then
okay.
we're putting a shelter over that.
Yeah, it's a 20 by 20 concrete pad that's already there. did a few months ago.
But for the record, if they come to my house, they get rings in their nose.
Or bacon. It could be bacon too, Bob.
This is an old steel building.
See, the sale and the balance are different, Mr. Hott. Is the price the 73 or is it the 63?
There's a deposit.
73.3, there is a deposit of 9,
54.
Okay,
and then the balance due when it's after the installation.
okay.
And that's an installed
So we would be approving
73.
7339,
Yes.
50.
I'll move that we go ahead and approve that 7339 for the building.
I'll second, but I will make note that I remember there being some ranting and raving in the public about the county not doing enough for seized animals and things, and just in the last year, this would be $35,000-$40,000 we've spent for large animals, horses, pigs, fencing. Now carport, so. That was a second, Commissioner.
Okay.
With some discussion.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the cover for the concrete pad in the amount of $7,339.50, which is basically a shed-type structure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you all.
Thank
You
you.
want a signed document here, too?
Probably, and I can pass that on. Thank you all for letting me take up so much of your time this evening.
The holdup with the contractor that had the scheduling issues, you'll talk to him, Matt? 'Cause we really do need to do something with this kitchen,
Yes.
but not for
The staff down there.
quadruple.
We're gonna have to find a way that we can get somebody during regular work hours and the staff can sit there.
I have a Committee on Aging meeting, tomorrow. So would you like me to mention? Okay,
Yeah, that would help a lot.
okay.
Yeah, they're going to be surprised at that figure. I guarantee you.
Thank you again.
That's okay.
A lot of work there to be done. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we are running behind, and we will get Mrs. Vivian Parsons up here for West Virginia Risk Pool update.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's always great to see you guys.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. I just wanted to come and say hello and tell you how the pool's doing and see if all is going well for you here in Hampshire County. The pool is growing. They're keeping me busy out on the road, onboarding new folks. You can see from the map that I put in front of you there, we are, this was actually updated the 1st of April, and we are at least at 90 municipalities now, so, and have added some authorities as well. We have 50 of the 55 counties, haven't lost anybody, and still communicating with the other 5. We have over 140 now, boards and authorities, solid waste authorities, PSDs, EDAs. We have picked up 3 volunteer fire departments. So our board sometime back approved us being able to cover fire departments. So word is getting around. Since we opened our doors to the municipalities back in 2020, but with the pandemic and everybody being locked down, it was kind of slow to take off. But since July 1, we have really been, last July 1, we have really been adding municipalities to our membership. So our board is still 7 county commissioners elected by the membership from across the state, and we have 2 mayors who are on that board. The mayor of Bridgeport, Andy Lang, and the mayor of Smithers, West Virginia, Dr. Ann Cavalier, are on the board. We will probably be adding a third municipal member in the near future as more continue to come on board. So things are going really well. I don't know if you've gotten your renewal yet, but they are going out daily. I get copied on it, and so I'm not quite sure where we're at in that, but you
Ours
do.
is submitted, we're waiting.
You're waiting, okay. So it should be any day that you get your proposal. They're coming out right now. So, of course, if you have any questions when you get that, you can let me know. I'm always happy to try to answer those. But, yeah, the pool is going well. We started the pool back in 2007, as those of you who've been around a while know. And we started based on 3 premises. One was pricing stability, and at the time, counties were having to jump around. Every time you had a claim, your expense, the cost of your premiums would go up, and so we were looking for price stability. Number 2, we were looking for good customer service, and number 3, being able to tailor the product to local government. We only cover local governments, counties, cities, and boards and authorities that we create along with the VFDs. So we can really tailor our product to local governments. I won't belabor a lot of this stuff, but I brought you a number of documents, a number of brochures. The first one there just showing you your lines of coverage, and just like any insurance company, we carry all the different lines in property coverage as well as your workers' comp. And a little synopsis on each of those in case you have any questions. The second brochure there is property valuations. We continue to do property valuations. When you first come on board with us, we send someone out to value your properties, anything $75,000 and above. We value and then send you a report on that. Once we have done your first property valuation, we try to get you on about a 5-year rotation. Now, COVID set us back, and we got behind. We're trying to catch up, but every 5 years we hope to get someone out to appraise your property, send you the report, you review it, and sign up. You're within that, great. So we work to do that so that you know what you have. Cyber coverage, we're still carrying cyber coverage, and we're still including everything, no supplements. You get the $250,000 in the aggregate that comes with your policy that you don't pay anything for. And I don't know what you've done, whether you've looked at it or not, but when you get your proposal, you'll have the pricing for your renewal, and then the next sheet will show silos of coverage to increase your cyber coverage. Right now, you would, if you haven't already increased, and I haven't looked at yours, but if you haven't increased, you have the $250,000 aggregate that's written in the policy. Then you have an option to purchase your own silo that no one else in the pool has access to. And it's priced reasonably. We suggest and encourage our county members, our larger members in our larger cities, to take a look at some silo of coverage, because when we put that $250,000 in place per member per claim, that was back in 2013. We didn't have any claims for 5 years on cyber. We're living in a different world now. It's coming right and left. As I said, right now we're not eliminating anything. We're seeing that happen in the private sector, that there's certain supplements and exclusions. We're continuing to hold the line and cover everything, and there's no deductible on your coverage. So we think we have one of the best cyber programs that's out there, be it pool or commercial or anything else. We think it's second to none. You have 2 more sheets there on cyber coverage. One looks like this, but the big thing I want you to get from this is what to do if you suspect you have a breach. And number 2 is call us. Call us immediately. We have access for you to a cyber coach. It's an attorney that we contract with, and she does nothing but cyber incidents, and so she can walk you through what you need to do to best protect yourself. So we encourage you to get in touch with us. We've also included a new brochure that we have about backing up your data, giving you a little guidance on that. So yeah, we are continuing with the cyber coverage. If you haven't looked at additional coverage, now might be the time to give that some consideration. I also brought a brochure just to show you what's available to you online. I'm sure Eric and his office, they do the claims, and so they're familiar with a lot of what's on the portal. But you have a private login and password to your portal for Hampshire County information, and there's a lot of information on there besides just claims reporting, which you can do online for any type of claim, and you immediately get a claim number. You can follow that claim. You can, by claim number, you can look at the details of the claim, the financials of the claim. You can even follow the claims adjuster's diary. It's on there. You know, if you talk to them today, by tomorrow, you'll see it documented on there. So you can follow all your information. It's yours. It's your pool, so you have access to it. Beyond that, you have some tools, some interesting site tools at your disposal. You can generate reports. You can do an annual report. You can look at your trends, and whether it's workers' comp or whether it is property claims, to see, you know, maybe you want once a year to print out a report, look at it, see what's trending, see if there's anything that you need to address. And then beyond that, there are a lot of other tools available to you. You can request your certificates of insurance online. You can view your schedules now online, your property schedules, your machinery. We call it inland marine, which is kind of a foreign term to me, but it means movable equipment, and also your autos. It's all on there. You can see what we have it valued at, what your deductible is, and then we've added tools so you can make changes all year long. We encourage you, if you get a new vehicle, add it whenever you get it. If you sell one, sell property, whatever, make the changes right online. Yeah, and then that way when you get that renewal questionnaire in January, that's pages long, it should basically be a printout of how we have you currently covered, and it should be pretty much up to date. So adding things there all the time. There's also risk control resources there, training resources. There are shell documents there if you want to create policies or procedures. Rather than having to start from scratch, you can pull down some of those, cut and paste, do whatever you want with those. We have recorded webinars that we have done in-house, things like sexual harassment training. If you hire a new employee and you want to just use that to have them view it, sign off on it, that they've had the training. A lot of things like that are available to you. And the brochures here, Risk Control Services, talk a lot about that, and the employee training. On the back of it, you'll see some of the topics that we have. Of course, during COVID, we were locked down like everybody else, and we had to ramp up our online presence. But we're back out in person doing lots of training. And if you don't see something listed there and there's something that you would like to have training on, always give us a call, because what our members want is how we develop our criteria. So we're constantly developing new stuff. One of the programs that's been around for a long time is our law enforcement training program. We have a very robust law enforcement training program because that's where you're going to see a lot of your exposure. We have a retired police officer who provides that training, and we have been able to get it approved through Charleston so that your officers can get continuing credits for it, LECs for it, that they're required to have. They have to have continuing education. I think it's 16 hours every 2 years, and we have up to 14 of those hours that we can come and provide for you at no cost to you and make it their training that they're required to have. So helps with your exposures. This page that I've added, I said we had to ramp up our online presence. We have subscribed to something called Safety Source, and it is a video library. It's not things that we've done. We have subscribed on behalf of our members. We provide you our login and password. You can go on there by keyword. You can plug in and you can pull up everything that's available on that topic. It'll tell you how long the presentation is. You can preview them and then decide what you want to use, download it. You use our login and password, it costs you nothing. So again, if you want to do some sort of monthly training, safety training, of whatever the case may be, I want you to know it's there and available for you. Another thing I always like to remind you about is a program called GatherGuard. GatherGuard is available on our public website. It's available to constituents. You can direct them there. It's under coverages and services. This is used when maybe you have county property that constituents want to use for an event. Let's say maybe a class reunion. They want to have a class reunion on some county property. You want them to have coverage for that one-day event. You send them here. They can fill out the application online. They can submit it online, put you as a third party, and pay online. It runs them anywhere from $75 to $100 for a one-day event, so it's reasonably priced. I just had a municipality who was, their constituents was hosting a class reunion on municipal property. It cost them $75 for $1 million of coverage. So, and you're a third party on it. So it's available. It used to be called Tulip. Yes. It used to be Tulip. It's now called Gather Guard. We're with the different company. And yeah, Tulip was an acronym, and I could never remember what it was an acronym for. But yeah, it's now called Gather Guard, and it's on the public website. And then lastly is just a brochure, The Truth About Pools. You know, there's always questions. Pools operate a little different than the commercial world. And as we started, back in 2006 and 7, when we started with counties, there were a lot of questions. And now that we're in the municipality, some of those questions are coming back up. So we put together a brochure, kind of question and answers, so that you would have it available if there's any questions that come up. I don't have anything else except to say that those of you who know me, my background is not insurance. My background is local government. I spent 23 years with the County Commissioners Association and 7.5 years with the Association of Counties before that. So local government is why I'm working with the pool, having worked with counties and now working with cities as well. But customer service, that's the backbone of association work. So that's really the role I'm playing with the pool. And if there's any kind of customer service issues or needs, you all have my card on your packet of information. Please make sure that you get in touch with me. Don't let it stew and be frustrated with something that doesn't work. Give me a call. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you in touch with somebody who does. See if we can take care of the issue. Any questions for me about the pool product?
So we have both of our municipalities are with the risk pool then, correct? Both of our municipalities, Cape and Bridge and Romney, are with the risk pool.
Romney is a member. What's the other one?
Cape and Bridge,
Oh, yes, Cape
Yeah.
Bridge. Yes, both of them.
and then we have the Development Authority in Central Hampshire.
I think the Development Authority. Don't hold me to that one, but I know that Romney and Cape
Because I think we had a Development Authority, okay, yeah.
And I know that them, are they, okay, great, yeah, they're members. And the mayor from Romney is here, I know, I've worked with Mayor.
We've been a member since 2008, I believe.
You've been there a long time.
When I first
We're glad to have
When I
you.
first came on, we had the West Virginia. Back then, that's all we could get. What was the name?
Oh,
Yeah,
Brim.
Brim, yeah, Board of Risk, yeah.
Board of Risk and Insurance Management, yeah. Brim is still there. They're a type of pool, but local governments had no control of the pool. And this one belongs to local governments. You have a board of directors that you elect, and they make decisions. I mean, the folks who get to approve the decisions benefit or feel the pain of any decision they make, just like you do. So I think that's why it works better for us, is you run the pool, you have control of the pool and what happens with the pool. So we didn't have that in Brim. That didn't always work.
And when you guys came along, Brim's rates went way down. It did.
Well, thank you, and we're glad to have you in that position with your local government prior experience. So it's good to have you there.
I really feel blessed, and it's fun to come out and see my old friends, familiar faces. I enjoy that.
Where's your office at?
I work out of my home in Charleston, West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in Charleston.
Thank you for making the trip. So
And-
can,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say on this Gather Guard, is there actually a breakdown of the, clearly I know the $1 million is for injury and property damage, but is there a line item amount for each one of those that it would cover?
You know, that is not a pool product, it's placement pool. When you go online,
Okay,
pull
okay.
up the application, you can see, but, you know, other than pricing and the purpose,
Okay.
I don't have the particulars on it, but, yeah, you can go on and pull it up and go and look at the,
Breakdown of it.
yeah, you can go look at the
Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it.
See everybody.
Have a safe trip home.
Yeah, well, I'm headed over to Frostburg to see my grandbabies tonight, and then back to Berkeley Springs. Gotta be in town of Berkeley Springs, and then I'm in Berkeley County, and then Terra Alta before I come home, so on the way back Thursday.
Safe travels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you guys, take care, and again, let me know if you need any help with anything, and you know how to get me, Aaron.
You do great service, we appreciate it.
River House.
Thanks, appreciate you.
No,
You go there?
Kelly does.
Look at here. I knew it.
Mr. President, we go ahead and move Mr. Mance up and do the employee handbook revision later.
Yeah, I'm okay with that request. We will, since we're running behind, ask Mr. Logan Mance to come up and talk to us about Caton Bridge Tech Park ARP funding request.
Good evening, gentlemen. If it's all right, I'd actually like to ask Mrs. Johnson to join me. So as you guys can see, I'm coming with a crew of support from your Hampshire County Development Authority to lend their support for this evening's proposal. I sent an email out earlier today with the revised versions of the proposal that I brought to you 2 weeks ago. I don't think that I actually provided this, although I believe Mrs. Johnson gave you guys a copy of this separately earlier this week. This is an itemized breakdown of the cost that the Development Authority has put and invested in the assets that are going to be transitioned during the upcoming utility transition. In an effort to kind of do this briefly, instead of rehashing everything that we discussed 2 weeks ago, I just wanted to...
Logan, if I may, maybe to keep you from doing that. At our last meeting 2 weeks ago, I had, and this wasn't on purpose, but I had totally forgot that I had talked to some of the board members and advised them how I thought they should apply through the ARP funding from the Development Authority through the Caton Bridge project. And I got a call from Becky, Rebecca Edwards, and she reminded me of a conversation I had with her, and she also reminded me of a conversation I had with Mr. Bohr. And not that I told him we would approve this, but I told him that the best way to get this funding was to go through the ARP process and to go through and to combine it with the Caton Bridge, with the bulk water, and that was all my fault. I'm sorry for that. I totally forgot. I didn't, and if she hadn't called me and talked to me, I wouldn't have, I'd be sitting here tonight.
The sentiment to
yeah.
preserve and protect public funds is a good default,
Well,
so we're all right
it
with it.
bothered me that I forgot. It did, and so anyway, I have went over this, and he also included the Bear Garden survey, and I should have said that at our last meeting, that we would probably have to do a survey of that in order to get a true cost of what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And that's what you put in here, and so I'm very, at this time, this commissioner is supportive of the total with the 242,350. Your second option. That's what I want to do, but I'll let the other two commissioners speak.
I still haven't seen the sub-grant application, the second one.
The second one should have been emailed to you today.
Yeah, at 11 a.m.
Apologize.
today.
I've got a copy of it here.
No, I got that today sometime. Somebody sent, Eric sent it.
You have another copy,
Yeah.
Logan.
So, gentlemen, the major differences, things that I wanted to rehash were essentially Eileen was able to track down a savings of $6,000 reduction in the cost to decommission the septic system for the one customer when we want to hook it up to to the sewer. She was able to do that through being able to leave the current system in place. So that's $6,000 we were able to knock off the top. The addition of the PER, which is the preliminary engineering report, to figure out how many and how much it's going to cost to hook up new customers up there on Bear Garden and adjacent properties to the tech park. We just don't have enough data right now to actually price it out. And there's just weird things with the elevation too. We couldn't price it without the PER. Their stock price is 30 grand, was able to knock it down to 24 for the first figure. I'm gonna try to negotiate that down further, and any savings that I have will be returned to the commission.
Is it because Mr. Turner just doesn't want to deal with two systems, just to be frank?
It's not just doesn't want to, it introduces complexity. Mr. Turner is a one-man shop. Well, he's a two-man shop. He's got one assistant that helps him run water, sewer, and the maintenance department, and having two parallel systems in there invites room for error. The other part about the telemetry dilemma was that we didn't get a straight answer from the company that is currently in use. They said $5,000 to $25,000, depending on how that transition goes. But either way, that's still going to end up with two separate telemetry systems in the same control house. So it's just not the ideal situation. And I don't want to bash any company, but I wasn't a fan of the way that that one of them responded. Whenever we tried to reach out and say, hey, we're trying to work through this, they essentially said, if you want to use junk, go somewhere else. And it just it wasn't.
Was that Extreme Endeavors?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to mention the name, but
We've had very good help with them so far.
yeah, and the Cape and Bridges had a similarly good relationship with High Tide as well. So I don't know. It might work out as a perfect scenario, but I just wanted to bring those two options before you, let you consider them, and then also with the full knowledge that, again, because we haven't negotiated these contracts yet, anywhere that we're able to save costs, we're going to, and then that amount will be returned back to the commission for redistribution.
And that was my thought. I realized that if the telemetry part, if it does come in way under, then I know that that you guys will give that back.
Absolutely.
Because you always have done that.
Absolutely.
So I'm not opposed to that.
The one that was sent at 11 a.m. was, so we went from 228,000 to 200, the one at 11 a.m. was 220,000, and this one's 242,000.
So you should have been sent two at 11 a.m. So it's an option A and an option B based on the two telemetry options. The one telemetry option allocates $5,000 to use the setup that's already currently there with the unknowns and the fact that it'll end up in two telemetry systems.
And the reason I did the 242 is because if the telemetry does go to the top at 25, then they'll have funding there to do that.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
and the other was the Bear Garden thing, the 24 for the survey. That's the reason I
Yeah,
did that.
okay. I'm with you.
And our folks on High Tide, they said that they're willing to look at the hardware that's in place, and they think that they can negotiate the number
Okay.
down too. If you all have any further questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I just want to actually say that it's been a cool process for me to be able to work with the Development Authority on this. I was wanting to get a project in with Eileen before she pretends that she's going to ride off into the sunset, but she's just going to be doing cool things in other parts of the county. So just wanted to say that before you all make your decision, or while I have the microphone.
I would move that we accept the, Mr. Egger, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Pretty quiet over there, Commissioner. I would move that we accept this sub-grant as presented by Mr. Mance for the $242,350.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the request for ARP funds in the amount of $242,350 be granted to the Development Authority to move forward with the bulk water plant project. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Could I interrupt, Eileen's here, the Development Authority. We mentioned Becky Hott a couple times. She had called the office, wanting to go on the agenda.
She She's back here.
I didn't hear. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, she wanted to be on the agenda to make an announcement. I was going to suggest maybe we could handle that now.
Come on up, Rebecca. Evening.
I'm glad I'm a little earlier. I figured I would be the last thing between you and the door this evening. So I just wanted to come by and give you an update and also ask make a request about when we can do the unveiling of the time capsule that we found at the Old Hampshire Memorial Hospital. So we've met earlier this week with Mary Sass at the hospital, Eileen and John Hott and myself, and we are starting to make plans. I've been in touch with 2 local historians in the county trying to get some additional information, perhaps find out who was a part of that time capsule and put the things in so that we can make that a part of our presentation. Due to trying to locate people and also, just timeframes of vacations and everything else, I would like to request that we could have the unveiling following your July 11th meeting. I believe that's the morning meeting. Is that correct?
That's the first, yeah, that would be a morning meeting.
Yes.
July 11th, she said, so that would be a morning one.
Would you rather do an evening meeting?
We only have one in July anyway.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. You only have one meeting in July?
You know who probably knows Mrs. Combs is Bob.
Oh, yeah?
I wasn't around in them days.
Do what?
Bonnie Sue Combs was the first baby born at Hampshire Memorial.
I'm trying to figure out who she is.
Bonnie Sue?
No. I know Combs's, but I don't know Bonnie's. I don't know.
That might have been.
I don't know if you got that email or not, but anyways.
Yeah, July
What is
11th 's
your
good.
date of your meeting in July?
July 11th.
Yeah,
Okay.
9 o'clock and then.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. We like to, obviously have the
Are
unveiling.
we gonna do it, you gonna do it here? Or
I would like that so we can
Okay.
live stream it if that's
Okay,
possible.
okay.
And then we'll have a couple speakers short. I just like to keep it between 30 and 45 minutes and then have light refreshments following that. And then I'll just give you a little additional information. I'll get out of your way. It was mentioned by Eileen, and I think this is a really good idea, and we talked to Mary about this, is taking that cornerstone from the original hospital. They're going to do something on the property of Hampshire Memorial, the New Hampshire Memorial, and we would like to do a new time capsule and have a plaque or something on there that has a date that is to be open 50 years in the future. I don't know that I'll be here, but I seriously doubt it. But anyway, that way it won't get forgotten or, or somebody just unlikely comes upon it during a destruction or demolition project. Is that favorable with you all
Yeah.
for the 11th? All right, I'll keep
Is
you.
that okay with you, Emma? Can you be here?
Great. Thank you, and thank you, Eric, for slipping me in.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will go back to employee handbook revisions, and I believe Clerk Strite is going to report on that for us.
I've been told I'm not heard well, so I'll sit here at the microphone. The Wage and Labor Review Board met and put a good deal of work into reviewing the handbook that had been started, and some help put into it from an attorney several years ago. The original was from 2007 and adopted back then, so it needed some updates and some revision. The board had good discussion, went through it line by line, and Rebecca Miller had a little bit of time as we got finished with it and found ways to make it look better, and did a little deeper editing of it, phrasing and so on, and she did some great work on that. So we have a finished product, and we would like to We've all signed it, and we'd like to present it to you guys for signature and then distribute it to all new employees and, of course, all current employees as well. Part of it will include, does include a sheet on the back, in the back of the book, that each employee signs when they come to work with us. That's part of their welcome to Hampshire County government. And that'll be maintained by their department head. And it's, in a lot of ways, largely unchanged from the previous book, but it is brought up to date and includes our current, keeps us a current status with our equal opportunity standing. It's something that whenever you sign those grant papers, you're certifying that we're within 2 years of having done that, so that's an easy way for us to do it in here. So we would like to present it to you for signature and your approval. If you have an order, we'll have places for you to sign. There's 3 places back there.
Gentlemen, I'll let you all look at this first.
Mr. Lowe's, anything you?
I've sat in on 2 out of 3 of the committee meetings on that, so I'll let you guys look at it first. This last one, I came in at the very end.
You can.
I've already seen most of it and saw the emails, so I'll let you guys look at it first.
Sheriff Sign chaired the committee, and all the elected officials, plus Phoebe Lieber representing the civil service employees, and Tammy Corbin from Normal's office representing employee representative. And
This includes some of the modifications we done to it a couple years ago.
some were, yes,
Yeah.
edited, and some,
Because we went over it a couple years ago, and then we didn't do anything.
we didn't do it you didn't do near as good a job as we did this time.
Okay.
Much more in depth, and some of those additions that the attorney had recommended, we didn't like and took out.
Okay. It's our document.
A little too elaborate on several things we thought were too restrictive, and just moved us in circles, you know.
David, you see it?
I guess you could give me the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Basically, that you set a salary minimum for starting pay.
That's not in there.
Okay.
That's a separate issue that they're also working on.
Okay.
That's not presented here this evening.
That's a recommendation for another time, yes.
They are working on that, but that's going to be a separate.
Okay.
Stipulates the parameters of the employment with Hampshire County. We're an at-will employer, and that's stated several times throughout, emphasized. The various aspects of how time is accrued, sick time and vacation time and so on, all that's stipulated. Appropriate uses of computers, equipment, everything.
A big stipulation is that we put in there the unacceptable uses of the computer. I think we noted that some have emails that come across our screens that we don't warrant sites, and for them to let us know, the department heads, immediately, because if it's somebody hacking into our computer system or such, that's what we need to look at and make sure that that's not happening in the county and there's not a virus. So, but we did acknowledge that, you know, even on our, you know, text messaging and stuff, we get unsolicited things that we don't want. So we want to make sure that our employees know that they need to notify us of that conduct, so immediately.
Yes, good point.
So that was a big thing that we had added to that.
Thank you.
I would move we authorize the president to sign the employee handbook as presented by the elected officials and board.
Actually,
I
we
meant
need
that
all,
all 3 of us signed
Okay.
it, all 3.
There's 2 separate pages for all 3 of you, and then President Eglinger is on.
I'll second that motion.
You would have 3 places to sign.
I've got it highlighted there.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the commissioners sign the new and revised employee handbook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed.
It's cleared the back.
That's the one that says that we're updating our people. Right, you want me to hang on to these kids? I usually do.
Yeah.
Shred 'em. Thanks.
Just one there.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Yeah, that piece of work completed.
A lot of work. Looks good.
So that's pretty comprehensive.
Not as thick as it was. I like
It's
that.
not as thick as it was, that's pretty true. But it's much better organized, but you did a
It's
great job.
much simpler and straightforward. Okay, under the item, under maintenance of correspondence and requests, I believe President Morgan from the Board of Education contacted Commissioner Cannon and said he would like to come in this evening. He didn't contact me about the agenda, but it is an ongoing subject that we commissioners had asked the Board of Education if they wanted to give a formal written response to the many questions that we proposed from the citizens there a couple months ago. So I will entertain that request of Mr. Morgan, and he contacted you, correct, Commissioner Cannon?
Yes, he did.
So if
Commissioners.
he'd like to come up, we can.
As long as, also I have two board members. present.
Okay, they're welcome to come along.
We would just like to present each commissioner personally with a copy of the questions and our answers. We felt it was pertinent to hand deliver these, so, you know, you all got them because of the
Thank you.
importance of these. You know, don't want to just rely on social media or the newspaper to get them. Did you gentlemen have any questions? Definitely, once again, I'd like to extend the proverbial olive branch for the Board of Education and the County Commission to work together. Seems like we have a strained relationship. I'd definitely like to try to help bond that.
I can appreciate that. Thank you for answering the questions and addressing it in person. And yeah, it's nothing we can't work through. It seemed to be a pretty open sore for the public, so thank you for answering all the questions.
Well, it's no problem. Commissioner Eglinzer, you have any comments or?
Well, this is the first I've seen this, so I like to carefully and always research my responses. Just glancing over the first one there, though, I appreciate your all's effort to answer and your straightforward approach to say that the taxpayers, that you didn't promise or include taxpayers or even the staff and students of the school, there was no obligation. However, I do want to say, that evening, Mr. Morgan, when you read the long list of names that was on that committee that looked at that, before the meeting was over, I had 2 texts, and I know Commissioner Hott, and I'm possibly Commissioner Kane, I can't remember, but I know Commissioner Hott had a phone call or 2 the next day, and I had 3 phone calls the next day. And those people said that they were never contacted about a meeting or an agenda of meetings or, anything like that. So, and again, this is a This is a 4-page response, and
Well, I
I'm
wanted to
going
make sure that it was a unified response, because it seemed like, it seemed like it came in the question because you gentlemen felt it was just I was answering my own behalf, and it's not. I don't believe I ever said I, it was always been we. I'm just a representative, same as you are, of a governing body. So, but like I said, I would definitely like to,
Well,
if we can ever work together on.
We're the governing body of the county. You guys are just policymakers.
But anyway, Ed, I just, that's, I just reading the first question and the first response there, our constituents at least, and this is by no way trying to be boastful, but I at least have enough constituents that I make it into this office, so I have to, listen to them.
I believe though, Commissioner.
So let me finish, Ed, let me finish, okay? Then I'll let you talk.
Go right ahead.
So, I have enough constituents that, we ask you that question, you gave us a list of people, and, how many, Bob? At least 4 or 5 of those people on the list tell us that they were never notified or even asked about such a committee. So I just, for my sake, for my constituents, the ones that support me at least, I'm going to make that very clear. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I was just wanted to reiterate, it would be our constituents. I believe we share a lot of the same voter group. And, so it was 4 or 5 people on that list then contacted one of you gentlemen about, not
Yeah.
any knowledge. Okay.
I had texts before the meeting was over
You
explaining that when you mentioned that online, I had 2 texts that said, they didn't know anything about that. And then I got followed up with phone calls too. And I believe Commissioner Hott had that same.
Yeah, I had quite a few. I don't know how many, but there's a few. And it's just, I'm not going to belabor, but there was also, I think, a petition going around that they got close to 1,000 signatures on it. So this is politics. That didn't tell me nothing, but that's okay. I'm not going to argue about it anymore.
And Ed, my comment was not to you, but I feel like you've been misinformed, and I feel like a lot of people have been misinformed of what the county commission does and their involvement with the Board of Education. You and I have talked about this. It's a lot more integrated than people want to give credit to. And for whatever reason, due to tradition and some people's opinions, including the superintendent, they seem to think that we are 2 majorly separate bodies. And I even had people, and I did have a few people reach out to me about that committee or whatever that they were allegedly on or not on, and they weren't contacted. I appreciate you coming in, and we've always worked good together, but we absolutely, and I want to say this for the record, have grounds to monitor all elected officials in this county based on the law. West Virginia Code 6-6-7, procedure for removal of county, school district, and municipal officers having fixed terms. And let me read it. Any person holding any county, school district, or municipal office, including the office or members of Board of Education and the officer of magistrate, the term or tenure of which office is fixed by law, whether the office be elected or appointed, except judges of the circuit courts, may be removed from such office in manner provided in this section for official misconduct, neglect of duty, incompetence, or for any of the causes or any of the grounds provided by any of the other statutes related to this code. Charges may be proffered in the case of any county officer, member of Board of Education, or magistrate by a duly enacted resolution of the county commissioners, which sets forth there in the name, office of the challenged officer, the alleged wrongful acts, the dates the alleged acts occurred, and by the grounds for removal as provided in this article by the prosecuting attorney of the county. And that is what the public brought forward to us, that you guys neglected your duty. So that's the last I'll hear of we don't have grounds to communicate with the Board of Education based on a neglect of duty claim by the public. Now, I've never claimed that you neglected your duty. I feel like you've been given fair chance to come in, and honestly, Yeah, I tip my hat to you because you've stayed pretty composed, and I feel like you're taking a lot of shots. But I thank you guys for coming in, and based on what I've seen, you've clearly answered the questions. I don't see neglect of duty but Jeff has said that, and many other people have said that we don't have any grounds to have you guys come in. We have every right to have you come in here. People need to read the law. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Ed, and thank you, members of the board, for coming.
And Commissioner Cannon has a good point there. I agree with a lot that he said there. There shouldn't be, although there is tension here, there shouldn't be tension because, we did what the citizens ask of us. We do have that right, and really it's our responsibility. Maybe not for us to judge on the final of what was done right and what was done wrong, but still, when that number and that intensity of citizens comes to me, I'm going to make a valiant effort to do something about it. And I think I told you that last time. And I think that's our point here is, there was enough done wrong there that it upsetted enough citizens that the commissioners were getting phone call after phone call. And I've heard the rumor that it was a handful of 3 or 4. That's not the case. I mean, it's much more than that. That's what I'm going to do as your elected official. And as far as the school board goes, I mean, I volunteer for the school all the time. I volunteer through FFA. I volunteer through the sports. I mean, I got 2 kids in the Hampshire County schools. There's nobody that wants you all to be more successful than me. But still, I have a certain amount of responsibility to my citizens, and if it makes for a nasty show, I'll do it.
None at all. None at all.
One last thing, Mr. Morgan. Let me reiterate, that wasn't a shot at you. That was, I feel like people have told you those things and the board member those things, and I think I've limited down to who it is on the relationship and how separate we really are when we aren't. I would like to, we don't currently have a pandemic. It's been officially over since May 11th, but I would like to state for the record that when the mask thing happened, and it may hit us again, you guys issued a policy, and that's according to which attorney you talk to, it is what it is. But I would like the board to know that the health department and its board members serve at the pleasure of this county commission. And that's also in the law, Code 16-2-11. And any rule proposed by the health department, approved, disapproved, or amended and approved, must be done by the county commission. So anything, rule that you guys are going by, that they issued, must be approved by us. And they serve at our pleasure. So I just wanted to state that for the record. That's neither here nor there. But just let it be known what the law is for everybody that's very confused on what the law is. And that's not necessarily you, just that's for everybody.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Do you ladies have anything? Did you ladies have any comments? I was not overlooking you. You're welcome to come up too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I assume you gentlemen want this posted on the website like we did the questions?
I'm fine with that.
All right.
When Mr. Cox gets back,
We'll ask Aaron Cox to post that on the website.
he is away right now.
Okay, we have covered all the agenda items and several maintenance items. I will take a few minutes here for any other public comment. All right, hearing none, I'll ask
You're gonna look about that.
I'll ask Clerk Strike for any other maintenance we have for the rest of the meeting.
We have some state work to do, and we have invoices. I have a final order, recommended order from Judiciary Commissioner William Judy in the state of takes a long time to get to it. James Delmar Wayne, they've been through fiduciary hearings, he's resolved, worked things out to a resolution, and they're down to where they wish to settle the estate. It's final order to get that done.
Brian, is this part-time? See what you're asking here. Grants, administrator. Thank you. So were you thinking part-time to start?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that's something we have to discuss, but we got to get, I don't think we have enough grants to employ a grant writer for full-time.
With Aaron taking care of the ARP still.
Yeah, right. It's just because she's going to finish the ARP stuff. But even, of course, she had other duties up there other than the grant writer. She was Tad's assistant.
Yeah.
So I just don't feel that we have enough, we're going to have enough grant writing to employ someone full-time.
Yeah, I forgot about her taking care of that other stuff.
I
Yeah.
also think you all should think about that too, because it's, but we've got to move on that and get something established where we do have a grant writer for the county. Because I don't think we can have a grant writer for each little, like the Development Authority has a grant writer and Park and Recs has a grant writer, and I would prefer it for us to have one grant writer.
All right, let's look at the final order here presented to us by the clerk first.
I read it.
I move it that final order of fiduciary commissioner William Judy be approved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the order of the fiduciary for finally administrated and settled be approved. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed. Okay.
This is the appointment list of new estates that have been opened recently. This is the settlement list. Thank you for working back and forth. This is also the same settlement document.
Oh, this doesn't go, okay. I thought it went with what we just did.
Yep. That's Holly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking underneath.
Yeah, it catches you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I got it.
Mr. President, I move that the commission approve all probate orders, fiduciary appointments and qualifications, and all fiduciary bonds coming before the clerk in the vacation of the commission since its last regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and I won't repeat Commissioner Cannon's motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. We won't need to be sending that, will we?
All we have left is invoices. And you gentlemen have had that to look at.
I would point out, there were some adjustments that were checks written from general fund to the no-fee account at FNB to compensate for some deposits that have been made directly by the MCA billing company inappropriately sent into the general fund when they should have gone to the no-fee account.
That's why there's
So
some shortages there.
That explained a good bit of that. 65,000, I think, occurred over several months. We caught that, and then they identified over the last few months, and they are now working directly with MCA and getting those billings done, deposited properly, get everything coming where it should. So that's what those checks are about. But it was
Are all the past ones corrected, or is there still some of that in?
believed to be, they've done a lot of research and believe that they've got that all taken care of.
And I'm going to work with Nathan and try to get this thing simplified instead of having, stuff shouldn't be coming to the clerks. It shouldn't be coming here. It should be going to the treasurer's office and being accounted for instead of, and some of the stuff goes up to Mr. Malcolm, and then they look at it and then they hand carry it down. It should be coming straight to the treasurer's
If money
office.
comes into the treasurer's office, that's where everything should come.
That's where we're going to try to get things simplified.
And that's working already.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion, gentlemen, on the
I move
list
the
of?
invoices be paid as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the invoices that have occurred since our last meeting be approved as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
I put grant writer on there, but
Yeah, we, gentlemen, as you know, we lost our full-time grant writer. She's staying with us until the ARP funds are taken care of. Do we have any discussion proposals on this, on getting somebody in there to call on as a grant writer for the time being, with the knowing that we still have the other one on part-time until we get through ARP.
Yeah, I think as long as we're keeping Aaron on for the ARP, I agree with Commissioner Hott. Having a part-time would be very advantageous to the county as a whole. I've heard of several things that, just with Darren Taylor and the grants he writes, if he has a question, or, every one of the boards, and just with our stuff alone, there's a lot of work to be done. But yeah, I think I agree with Commissioner Hott. I don't know if we need 100% full-time until Aaron steps down.
there could be some possibility with personnel shifting around in my office a little bit. If you have a little flexibility, I wouldn't mind being able to enter that discussion some if that'd be possible too. There might be some flexibility here is what I'm getting at.
Do we have a candidate, Commissioner?
No, we haven't advertised.
We haven't advertised for anything yet. No, we haven't.
Do we want to give clerk the go-ahead on starting the advertisement process? Or Are you comfortable with that, commissioners, at this
I would
point?
move that we
Yeah, I'm
authorize
fine.
the clerk to run an ad for grant writer.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'll second that.
Do you have some more discussion, Bob?
Well, no, I just want to make sure that Eric goes over this and if necessary, because this was done back in, I want to be able to tweak it if he has to. This was done in 16. You know, and indicating there about a part-time position instead of,
Okay.
Would you guys help me with that if I have
Yeah.
any questions?
We would just like, yeah, our main purpose here is to get the ball rolling so we can get the advertisement going so we can get that position filled. Because obviously, we've used it a lot here over the last couple of years. So I appreciate Commissioner Hott for looking into that for us. And that was a second, right?
yes.
So all those in favor of the motion and second to allow Clerk Strite to start the advertisement process for a part-time grant writer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. I believe that's it, isn't it?
That's all I can.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.
Give me 1 second, please.